Are you ready to dive into a world where Arthurian legends mix with a touch of dark fantasy, a bit of Skyrim, a pinch of Dark Souls, and a bunch of choices that will make you question your existence? Today I bring you the ultimate review of Tainted, Grail, The Fall of Avalon, the open world RPG that left early access in May 2025 and is making waves. If you ever dreamed of being an unlikely hero on a haunted island, chased by weird mist, and with a fate more uncertain than my internet connection, on a Monday morning, this game is for you. But as in every good adventure, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. So grab your sword, your bow, or your magic grimoire and join me in exploring what makes this game a gem, and also a headache at times. For those arriving late to the party, Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon is a first-person RPG with third-person option. Thank you for listening, Questline. Developed by indie studio Questline and published by Awaken Realms. This game, which started as an early access project in March 2023, finally reached its version 1.0 on May 23, 2025, and is available on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X at chess. Inspired by Arthurian legends, but with a dark and twisted twist, the game takes you to the island of Avalon, trapped in an eternal autumn and plagued by a mysterious force called Wordness, or Rareza, because it sounds more epic in English. Here, you're not the typical shining knight, but an unlikely hero facing a world where the strongest champions already kicked the bucket, and you are Plan B. The game promises between 50 and 70 hours of content, with a branching narrative, an open world full of secrets, and a combat system that mixes action, strategy, and a bit of chaos. But does it live up to the expectations? Is it the indie Skyrim everyone wants, or does it get lost in its own magical mist? Let's break it all down, the good, the bad, and what made me yell at the screen at 3 in the morning. If there's one thing Tainted Grail shines at like a bonfire in the middle of Avalon's night, it's its story. The narrative, created by Krzysztof Piskorski and Marcin Schwerkut, is like reading an epic fantasy novel written by someone who has coffee and tragedy for breakfast. The main plot puts you in the shoes of a hero who must unravel King Arthur's legacy 600 years after his fall. But don't expect a fairy tale with happy knights and dragons. Here everything is dark, twisted, and with an atmosphere that screams, something is terribly wrong. What makes the story so addictive is its branching structure. Every decision you make matters, and not just in the choose A or B and change a line of dialogue way. No, here, your choices can alter the world, unlock side quests, or make every NPC in a village hate you. For example, in one of my playthroughs, I decided to help a suspicious villager, only to find out he was a traitor who unleashed chaos in the region, and I loved it. The narrative is full of twists, memorable characters, like a ghost companion who won't stop giving you sarcastic advice, and a lore so deep you could write a PhD on it. If you like games where the story makes you feel like you're living a novel, Tainted Grail is a 10/10 in this department. Do you want to be a stealthy archer who shoots from the shadows, a berserker who throws punches like a medieval boxer, or maybe a mage alchemist who summons undead while mixing explosive potions? Tainted Grail gives you a playground to customize your playstyle. The skills, attributes, and gear system is so flexible you can create absurd and functional combinations. In one of my runs, I played as a blacksmith who used magic to enchant his hammers and crush enemies, and it worked. The freedom to experiment is one of the game's biggest strengths, and it makes every playthrough feel unique. Also, the open world is designed to reward exploration. Every corner of Avalon is full of secrets, hidden caves, buried treasures, NPCs with tragic stories, and quests that appear when you least expect them. For example, I found an optional dungeon that led me to a boss fight so epic I almost cried, with emotion and frustration. But more on that later. If you like getting lost in open worlds like the Elder Scrolls, you'll feel right at home here. Let's talk about the atmosphere. Avalon is a place that feels pulled from a fever dream of a gothic poet. The eternal autumn isn't just a pretty phrase. The landscapes are full of golden leaves, creepy mist, and ruins that seem to whisper, "Buckle up, it's about to get ugly." The soundtrack, with 16 immersive tracks, is like a warm hug amid all the chaos. From melancholic melodies to epic battle themes, the music fully immerses you in the game. And don't get me started on the 104-page art book that comes With the supporter edition, it's so beautiful I almost framed it. The environment design is another strong point. While the graphics aren't next gen, more on that later, the art and visual direction more than make up for it. Every zone in the game has its own personality, from haunted swamps to villages devastated by the wordness. And the night mechanic, where this chaotic force alters reality, adds a touch of survival horror that keeps you on edge. Who needs sleep when you have to light bonfires to avoid being devoured by the mist? Tainted Grail doesn't settle for just giving you a main story. The game is full of side activities that make Avalon feel alive. You can fish, cook, practice alchemy, forge weapons, grow plants, or even keep a sketchbook journal. Yes, like a medieval artist. These activities aren't just for fun. Many give you resources or upgrades that help you on your journey. For example, cooking a good stew with aberrant web, yes, it sounds gross, might save you from dying on a particularly brutal night. These mechanics add depth and make you feel like every action counts. The combat system is a mix of real-time action and card-based strategy, something it inherits from the game's tabletop version. You don't roll dice, you build combos with skill cards, making each fight a tactical puzzle. I love how it forces you to think before acting, without losing the intensity of an action RPG. The enemies are varied, from bandits to supernatural creatures that look straight out of a Lovecraftian nightmare. And yes, there are bosses that will make you sweat more than a summer marathon. Now, not everything is a fairy tale in Avalon. As any good indie, Tainted Grail has its flaws, and although they don't ruin the experience, they can get on your nerves. Here come the negative points, with a touch of humor so we don't get too depressed. If there's one word that shows up in many negative reviews, it's grind, or routine for those who don't speak gamer. The game has a survival mechanic based on the menhirs, statues that you must keep active using resources in order to explore the world. If you don't plan properly, you can end up stuck collecting resources like a medieval miner in an endless loop. Some chapters, especially one infamous case where a bad choice can drag the playthrough out for hours, feel like divine punishment. It's not that I hate resource management, but sometimes it feels like the game is telling you, have fun, but first, go gather 47 herbs. There's a story mode that reduces this grind, but even then, it can be exhausting. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the graphics. Tainted Grail is not Cyberpunk 2077. The character and monster models look like they were pulled out of the Oblivion era, 2006, for the young ones. The animations are stiff, and the NPC faces sometimes look like they were sculpted by someone with a hangover. They're not horrible, but in a world where AAA games dazzle you with every pixel, here you feel like you're playing something from a past generation. The performance, especially on consoles, also has issues. Frame drops, late loading textures. Let's just say my PS5 sweated more than it should have. On PC, performance is better, but don't expect miracles. The game doesn't hold your hand. And that's fine, until it smacks you in the face without warning. There are moments in the story where a random enemy or a bad decision can send you straight to the virtual graveyard without mercy. For example, in one of my runs, a boss destroyed me because I didn't have the right resources and there was no clear hint that I needed to be better prepared. That can be frustrating, especially if you're not a fan of Dark Souls style games where dying is part of the learning. Better signposting or clearer clues would have helped. Although the story is amazing, sometimes it's so dark it feels like the game forgot how to smile. Everything is tragedy, betrayal, and doom. I get that it's part of the charm, but a little humor or a few lighter moments would have balanced the experience. After 20 hours of everyone's going to die and the world is doomed, I started missing an NPC who could tell me a bad joke. With 50-70 hours of content and up to 100 if you explore everything, Tainted Grail is not a casual game. If you don't have time to dedicate to it, or if you don't enjoy long campaigns, it can feel overwhelming. Some chapters are short, 30 minutes, but others can take 5 to 6 hours, especially if you get lost or make the wrong choices. That's not a flaw in itself, but it's something to consider if you prefer shorter or more straightforward games. Now, let me tell you how Tainted Grail stole my heart and a couple of nights of sleep. My first run was with a character I named Grok the Brave. Yes, I'm original. I chose to be a stealthy archer because, come on, who doesn't want to feel like Robin Hood with a touch of witchcraft? The first few hours were a roller coaster. I fell in love with the story, screamed with excitement upon discovering a secret cave, and then cursed the game when I ran out of resources to light a menhir. But you know what? Every time I thought about giving up, the narrative pulled me back in. That ghost companion of yours, with his sarcastic remarks, became my virtual best friend. And when I finally beat a boss after 3 tries, I felt like I had conquered Mount Everest. My favorite moment was when, by mistake, I triggered a trap in a dungeon that unleashed a horde of enemies. I ran like crazy, firing arrows blindly, and I somehow survived. It was epic, chaotic, and exactly what I look for in an RPG. But there were also nights when I turned the game off frustrated because the resource grind was killing my soul. In short, Tainted Grail is like that love-hate relationship you can't leave because, despite its flaws, the love is real. Before you run off to buy Tainted Grail, here are some tips to survive in Avalon. Plan your menhires. Don't waste resources. Lighting up all the menhirs at once. Learn to prioritize based on the story. Sometimes, letting one go dark is the best strategy. Explore but carefully. The game rewards exploration, but don't go into dungeons unprepared. Always bring resources for campfires. Try different styles. Don't stick to one type of character. Experimenting with different skill combinations is part of the fun. Use story mode if you hate the grind, if resource management overwhelms you. Story mode lowers the difficulty and lets you enjoy the narrative. Be patient with bugs. The performance isn't perfect, so expect the occasional glitch. Save often, so should you play Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon? If you love open world RPGs with deep stories, full freedom, and a touch of challenge, the answer is a resounding yes. This game is a feat for an indie studio, and although it doesn't have the budget of a Skyrim or an Elden Ring, its ambition and heart make it stand out. The narrative, atmosphere, and customization are top tier, and they'll keep you hooked for hours. But if you hate grinding, outdated graphics, or games that require patience, you might want to think twice. For me, the positives outweigh the negatives, but it's not a game for everyone. Tainted Grail. The Fall of Avalon is like a good wine. It has a unique flavor, but sometimes leaves a bitter aftertaste. Its branching narrative, immersive world, and freedom of play are reason enough to give it a chance. But the grind, outdated graphics, and uneven difficulty can cause some players to drop off. Personally, I fell in love with Avalon, flaws and all. It's a game that challenges you, excites you, and makes you feel like every decision matters. So, are you ready to face the wordness and forge your own fate? Grab your sword, light a campfire, and let the adventure begin. If you like this review, leave me a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more epic content. Have you already played Tainted Grail? What did you think? Did you love the story or curse the menhirs? Tell me in the comments. See you in the next adventure, and may the mist not catch you.